Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now December 8th of 2025, and there is no doubt about it right now that there are tons of Hollywood celebrities coming out of the woodwork, getting very overly defensive and aggressive over the recent Epstein twist. And when I'm saying Epstein twist, there's been a lot of things going on with this case, including how President Donald Trump did indeed actually make that major revelation that specific details were indeed suppressed and censored by Joe Biden during his presidency about Epstein and his connections to Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton and more, and how we have a lot of actors out there like Robert De Niro, George Clooney, Julia Roberts, Jane Fonda, and even Tom Hanks, who we will be talking about today mainly, who got very angry about that, calling Trump and his supporters a liar, or liars if you will, and many terrible names out there. And even if you're not a Trump supporter, I'm seeing this coming from a lot of independents or apolitical individuals out there that are just very repulsed over how political these actors have actually become, and how they're just doubling down on this actual agenda that's driving away their audience. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new, and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So, there is one thing that's happening right now. There is some sort of a turn of the tide in Hollywood happening, and I'm not talking about the whole WB and Netflix situation, but there are a lot of studios out there that are beginning to actually take some accountability, and they are actually deciding the fate of specific actors. Now, one in particular has a lot to do with actor Tom Hanks, and how he actually got fired by a major Hollywood studio just recently over his recent Epstein comments, how he attacked, of course, Trump supporters, how he actually name-called Trump so many different names out there for really revealing specific aspects of the Epstein files and more. However, with many Hollywood celebrities and those in the media still doubling down to push their political agenda, both onto their fans and the general public, one major development that is now active involves more to do with actor Tom Hanks, who recently met some serious consequences after getting caught with the recent Epstein twist, where he labeled Trump and his supporters as liars and many other names, like I said before, after Trump unveiled that Biden suppressed the truth during his presidency of Epstein's connections to Bill Clinton. As a result of these comments, Tom Hanks was recently fired from a major Hollywood studio, and that Hollywood studio, as it turns out, was Paramount. Now, that was working on a project that would feature Tom Hanks. It turns out that Paramount decided to not only fire Tom Hanks over his recent political statements and comments about Biden and Epstein, along with calling Trump supporters endless names over his revelation about the Epstein files, but Paramount decided to actually flat out cancel the entire film just after they actually fired Hanks from the project altogether, and are now making a swift move to blacklisting him from getting involved in any other future films, just like what they did to Jane Fonda when she mocked Charlie Kirk after his assassination back in September. Now, though it's not clear just yet, however, Hanks was actually cast to portray a well-known politician in recent years. This political thriller, so to speak, that Paramount was developing was best described to be a political thriller set for 2027 that was going to star Hanks as the main character. After Hanks made his comments about Trump, revealing new details about the Epstein files and new truths surrounding them, Paramount executives gathered together in a panic and decided to pull the plug on Tom Hanks' involvement. The problem here for Paramount is that they had no other choice for a recast, since many other actors actually informed the studio that this role would taint their career and would be way too controversial for the future of their acting career. Now, Tom Hanks was reportedly furious over, of course, all of this when this happened, even to a point where he is now planning to gather a legal team to take it up to the corporate ladder and is already blaming Paramount for discriminating him for his political beliefs. This is much like what happened with Robert De Niro, as you guys may recall, at WB, Warner Brothers, when his film The Alto Knights bombed at the box office over his political statements about Trump supporters and more, and also the disinterest of Robert De Niro combined. Hanks, of course, is now facing a similar fate at Paramount, as they plan to actually scrub more projects and actually fire more actors that continue to double down on their political views that are harming the actual company. Now, guys, let me stop right there for one moment about Tom Hanks, Robert De Niro, and more. this is exactly what's happening. We're beginning to see a lot of these actors losing roles, losing any form of an affiliation with a major Hollywood studio after they just will not stop with the aggressive political talking points that nobody wants to hear, that people find very repulsive, and to the point that it changes your perspective of the actor, right? Now when you see movies that feature Tom Hanks or Robert De Niro or whoever it may be, even if it's from like 20 years ago, all you see is the actor in the present. The way that they talk, how politically driven they really are, it truly changes your perception of the actor's face. It really does. And we're seeing this effect actually happening to a lot of people out there. Maybe not everybody, but a lot of people are beginning to actually see that in full effect right now. And that's because a lot of these actors are just so obsessed with of course, political talking points ahead of the 2026 midterms. That's exactly why a lot of actors are ramping up their politics, ramping up the anti-Trump political agenda, and how it's backfiring on basically the studios that represent, or the studios that they represent, I should say, and why the studios, some of which, for sure, are now beginning to take some kind of accountability. Now, interestingly enough, beyond all of this, get this, with Trump unveiling that Biden suppressed the details about Epstein and Clinton during his presidency and more, many celebrities are now going into damage control in a very suspicious way, where they are becoming very vocal and aggressive. Now, Tom Hanks and Robert De Niro are already well onto that path, with no signs of stopping regardless of the consequences coming their way as a result. So be aware that, yes, you are going to have a lot of these actors that just will not stop. They don't really care. Because obviously when you look at people like Robert De Niro and Tom Hanks and George Clooney and more, just look at how much their net worth is. I mean, it's crazy. So they obviously don't really care, from what it seems, when it comes to their acting roles getting lost from a business perspective or a financial perspective, I guess. But it's more or less of an egotistical thing, that they just can't take the fact that a studio is letting them go, or firing them, or blacklisting them, and they don't want that actually connected to their legacy. And that's really what it's all about at the end of the day for some of these actors. Now, what's interesting about Tom Hanks and Robert De Niro is that they really did take a major turn in 2025. I mean, let me tell you, ever since Tom Hanks mocked Trump supporters on live television via SNL's 50th anniversary, and how that turned a lot of people off, maybe some people found that funny for sure, but look, a lot of people were very offended by that, because after he made that parody, after he actually went and got involved in that skit, he still continued to attack Trump supporters. So it wasn't just all poking fun. He really did this from a personal view. And we all know that Robert De Niro, he's another one. He's trying to do the same exact thing on, various other, studios out there, whether it's ABC or anything related to CBS. He's actually working out a deal with Stephen Colbert to become a regular guest to mock Trump before that show goes off the air. I believe it's in May of 2026, correct me if I'm wrong. But I would like to hear what everyone has to say about the whole Tom Hanks situation, and how a lot of these actors, even if they are big name actors, they are now beginning to realize that they're not really above any possibility of a consequence, right? And now they're beginning to see those consequences coming their way. So overall, let me know what you guys have to say about all of this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.